What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you on a Sunday night. It is 9 o'clock. It is really cold outside, and it's going to be another really cold night again tonight. We're going to break all of that stuff down as we go forward. A lot of new information to get to that we kind of developed throughout the course of the day when it comes to your power, when it comes to your pipes, all of that stuff. If you're watching us on the New 6 YouTube page, welcome. If you're watching us on New 6 Plus, welcome. And if you're watching on the new 6 app, also welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, though, post in the comments if you had any issues today, either with power or with plumbing, any of that stuff. We're going to get into it going forward. I just want to say right off the bat, if you did have any kind of issues with your plumbing, and we'll get into this further, make sure you take care of them tonight because we're going to be in the same ballpark. If you didn't have any issues with your pipes, your water freezing, I would still take issues, or I would still take the precautions tonight, as we've been talking about all week. Wrap up the spigots outside. If your water intake comes in from outside, make sure you wrap that up as well. Take the heat from the ground, all that stuff to protect it and let it drip inside and open up those cabinet doors to let the heat from your house in. We're going to break all of that down through the course of the next little bit of time that we are hanging out together, but wanted to hop on here and give you an update on the weather side, and then on the impact side, of course, is now we transition from a weekend day where, all right, it's cold, to now a Monday where it's going to impact us even further. So we're going to break all that down. First and foremost, I want to start with where we are right now in the temperature drop. And we are pretty much right where we were last night, maybe a degree warmer than where we were. It should be a much slower fall tonight. It's not going to be as cold, but um nonetheless, there you see it. There is a real-time update. So now we are at 36. I'll check in with where we're falling. So we are still falling at a pretty decent clip at this hour. Are you asking why there wasn't ice on cars or why there was ice on cars in Union Park, no call sign? And then I'll try to answer that. So right now the temperatures are dropping. The wind isn't as bad. It is certainly breezy. The wind chill is in that little teeny tiny number. You see it right there. We're at 30 in Orlando, 30 with the wind in Leesburg, 30 in the Villages. Last night at this time we were well into the 20s on that front. Palm Coast, actual air temperature at 34. So we're already at the freezing mark. Oh, you're talking about frost. I think you're talking about frost. So that is a good question. So the reason why there was no frost was because we had the wind. So frost does not develop when it's windy. So um even if even if it's cold enough for frost, if it is windy, frost does not develop. It needs clear skies, calm winds, and then cold as well. J Ray, what's going on? Let it drip all night and the hose froze. So you need to disconnect the hose as well. That's another important aspect. If you let the water will certainly freeze in the hose. We don't care about the hose though. We don't want water going through the hose. We want the spigot like covered up. Um, we want that little spigot covered up with I put a hoodie on it for me. And it seemed to work, and then I let the inside pipes drip at about a pencil length. So about that. Don't just let it like drop. It's got to be running a little bit because the thing is moving water is much harder to freeze. Disney Therapy on YouTube says, and I'm surprised schools are open tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see if that's going to be the case. I know I've seen a couple of statements from at least one school that they're monitoring the situation. And I'm gonna imagine it's gonna depend upon if there's A, power, and if there's B, water. Because we saw a lot of different issues today when it comes to people not having water and people not having power. And the reason why, and this is the other thing that we're gonna get to through the course of tonight's live stream, is the fact that and post in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, if your power company reached out to you to talk about conserving power, conserving energy. That's going to be the other thing. Obviously, it's going to be another cold night in the same ballpark as last night. but now we have more people up in those peak hours because we have people getting ready for work. So using the electricity and using all of that stuff. So that's going to be more strain to the power. You got it, J Ray. I hope everything is working out with the water tonight. I hope everything is kind of thought out a little bit. Kevin says broke the record low in Lakeland this morning. I think everybody did. Thank you for that report in Lakeland. So again, it's cold out there. You don't need me to tell you that for sure. Extreme cold warning is in effect again as we move into the day tomorrow. This is already in effect tonight. This is going to be in effect tomorrow. The wind chill does come up a little bit. That is going to be more like the teens and 20s. Rather than the single digits and low teens. We bottomed out at 11 degrees in Orlando with the wind. It was nuts this morning. Like, it's crazy. Again, coldest air in a little more than 15 years. And the wind just added the insult to injury. This is where we started this morning. So J Ray says Duke Energy sent a reminder about turn everything off. I don't remember. It's for tomorrow between 5 and 9. That's what the power companies are saying. And Duke has an issue for sure. Duke especially because they service the Carolinas, so they're dealing with ramifications of the ice storm and the and all that other stuff. That is another good point. That on YouTube, Nafix LE40 is making that the power companies will share with each other as well. So we should not find ourselves into a situation like Texas did in 2021. Still, though, in order to conserve that, they may have to roll blackouts. So that's what we don't want to get to, obviously. So we want to make sure that we're thinking about that and not using up everything that we have. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And certainly, if the schools have a lot of walkers, they might consider with an extreme cold warning in effect. I'm kind of surprised we at least don't have some delays until we get the sun coming up, but I don't make those calls. Lady Lake coming in at 29 degrees. Thank you, Ronaldo, on YouTube for sending in that report. So here's where we stand for tomorrow. So we're going to get back down into the mid 20s, lower 20s north. 28 is going to be the forecast for Orlando. The record is 32. We should smash that again. Melbourne, we're at 25. We should destroy that record. Same for us in Daytona Beach, Leesburg, and in Sanford. So we're back in that same ballpark yet again. Now, while we were kind of talking about this, this is kind of what you want to do. If you are, especially if you were asked, but I think everybody should do this, is to make sure the thermostat's at 68. That's at a temperature where you can at least be relatively comfortable. And you don't want to, the other big thing that people are doing is we'll turn off the heat and then turn it back on. That just makes the unit work harder. So you want you to do your best to just set it at something in that ballpark of 68 degrees and then just let it go and let it do its thing. You also want to delay large appliance usage. Like we made stuff for dinner tonight. For tomorrow, we got all that out of the way out of peak time tonight. It is way warmer or way colder than 43, I believe, in New Smyrna Beach right now. Way colder than that. Yeah, New Smyrna is 35. Way colder than 43. All my flowers are dead. The mango trees look okay, but the passion fruit looks sad. Small to play. I'm sorry to hear that, man. There's a slightly better shot for frost tonight. I still think the breeze stays elevated too much. I still think it stays elevated a little bit too much for that. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Peb Mets for that. He says, thanks for the updates, doing a small steady stream on all my sinks just to keep the water moving. And that's the thing. We talked about this on all the live streams and all of our coverage leading up to it. If you are like an iota concerned that your pipes will freeze, like my neighbor's froze, he didn't take any of the precautions and he didn't have water this morning. I did, and I was thankful to have water this morning. He had to go out with a hair dryer in out on the water line, but thankfully no bursting or anything like that took place. But that's going to be the key. And the same kind of deal here is with the energy. That's what we're going to be concerned with tonight because there's certainly going to be more people up tomorrow during the coldest part of the morning and the highest energy use when it terms for heat. The other thing that I saw a lot of on Facebook and on Twitter when these power companies, and I mean, okay, say what you will. I know there were a lot of negative things said to them. However, they do power our home, so be nice, be kind. It stinks that it's cold outside. However, a lot of people were making the egregious error, and it's okay if you don't know this, but a lot of people were saying, okay, well, it's 95 degrees all the time, and we have air conditioning running nonstop a lot of times in the summer. It takes a lot of extra energy in the winter time because we have heat pumps versus actual furnaces, okay? So that's the other thing. And the heat pumps are really not working right now. That's the other thing. They cycle back and forth back to the auxiliary heat or emergency heat. They use the power strips or the electric strips. And a lot of people are kicking that up at the same time. And it is just using way more power than in the summertime when your AC is cycling a little bit more and it's not all stressing the grid at once. So the heat is 1,000,000%, 1,000,000% stressing the grid than the AC ever will. It's prepared for that in the summer. It's not prepared for that in the winter because we seldom get to that. All right, my man Jay Ray is an HVAC technician and kind of echoing those words, set the thermostat. If a heat pump to 68 to 70. And that's what we did last night at my house. And it kept it at 68 and it cycled between the heat pump and the auxiliary heat. Whenever it wasn't warm enough to push out warmth to keep it at 68. And it did a really good job doing it too. It would go to the auxiliary heat for a little bit and then switch back to the heat pump and then push it back through. So important stuff to know. And again, it's okay if you don't know that. Just don't be rude to the power companies for asking you to conserve the power and all that stuff. Be kind out there. Here's where we stand for tomorrow morning. 27 in Orlando. We're at 27 in Oviedo. 24 in the Villages, 25 in Wildwood. So a couple of degrees, quote unquote, warmer than where we were today, which is still super cold, which is still record cold for the day, and everything like that. So it's still going to be cold. The wind is not going to be as brutal. It's still going to be a touch breezy, but nowhere near as close as it was today. So you see that right there. The wind chills in the upper teens to lower 20s. Still really cold, but certainly, again, nothing like what we saw this morning where we had single digits and lower teens across the board out there. So that's kind of the biggest things that we want to kind of get across. I'm trying to find my pipe graphic here because we did have a lot of that today. So here's the deal. And if anybody are snowbirds living in Florida, obviously, like when it gets to 24 degrees in the north, your pipes are okay. Here, the houses are not built to insulate for 24 degrees. So that's the thing, that's the important thing to remember. That's the important thing to remember. So anything that is exposed outside, insulate it. Blankets or towels, that foam wrap. I mean, again, it's kind of late into the evening and most hardware stores are closed and all that stuff. So I want, again, if you had issues with the pipes this morning, you're likely going to have them again tomorrow morning. If you didn't have, um, oh, hold on one second. Just got a push alert on the new 6 app. So I would also recommend for everybody to download this. And the push just came through. So this is kind of breaking. 2 Orange County elementary schools are going to be closed on Monday as the district recovers from extreme cold. So I'm just reading this in real time. So it looks like district officials said that families and staff at Summer Lake and Dillard Street elementary schools. Orange County Public Schools said Sunday, right now, that all district schools will open Monday except for 2 elementary schools that continue to face, quote, significant facility issues caused by the recent extreme cold. And again, district officials said the families and staff at Summer Lake and Dillard Elementary School campuses will receive a separate update by 9 p.m. To Cruise. So this is the update. So that was obviously from the older story and all that stuff. Our heat unit stopped working, so we're on space heaters. And yeah, be careful with that. Make sure those space heaters are plugged right into the wall, and make sure you don't fall asleep with those space heaters on because we don't want a bigger issue. J Ray says that great. Just keep the eyes on that reversing valve inside your condenser. If you want to explain that, I know this stuff is. I've recently become a homeowner, and all this stuff is like foreign to me. Yes. Okay. You need the inside unit to work at least in the emergency heat. Yeah. So the emergency heat is on the inside. That part, I did know. Okay. So Michelle J Ray saying to check the breaker to see if something might have tripped the breaker there. Yeah, I don't think it actually snowed in New Smyrna. I think a lot of the reports coming in from the coast was just um either mist or dust or something like that. That's so I really don't think it snowed in a lot of places where we got reports. I think the only true reports are going to be towards the Gulf and then up towards Jacksonville. So I truly do not believe that it snowed in New Smyrna. It kind of looked like it in Daytona Beach for a little bit. Um, but a lot of that stuff was that if you put like lights, if you put your flashlight out, you can see like stuff kind of floating around that looks like flurries. Um, but yeah. So it may have. I have not seen the video though, so I can't confirm it. But it was kind of hard to really see anyway. The radar was everything was so shallow and kind of lower. Oh, okay. So the HVAC. Okay, so there you go. Thanks, Yon 2008. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you trusting us at News 6. Shout out to Randy. Good to see you again, my friend. Schools are open in the villages. So, yeah, so it looks like it's just those 2 elementary schools. 2 elementary schools in Orange County that are closed because of the damage that they took on from today. By the way, we're 20 minutes into this live stream, and I completely forgot here. Not forgot, but didn't mention it. We're taking a live look near Palm Bay. You see that haze. That's been the other byproduct of this. We are in a drought, and the wind was not good. We've had 2 really big brush fires break out. One of them was earlier today near Palm Bay that had I-95 shut down for a while. You still see the haze from the smoke. It looks like there's still traffic, so I'm not sure if there's something going on. I'm not sure if there were emergency crews on the side of the road earlier, but now it looks like the traffic has slowed back down again on I-95 just south of Palm Bay or on the southern side of Palm Bay. So that's what we're taking a live look at. And then Micanopy, we're just cold. And that's the stuff here. So if you're just joining us and there's a lot of extra people here on YouTube, I really appreciate that, and seriously, I don't take that lightly. Um, okay, so the traffic's an accident. Okay. Well, I hope everything's okay with all the smoke there. I wonder if the accident was caused by um that. Yeah, it looks like it's closed again. The fire from last night is still happening up in Interlaken. It is still there. I have all the stats on it. I just have to go back to my stats page. So the Pace Court fire, that was the one in Interlaken. Um, it's 318 acres, and as of there hasn't been an update since 103 this afternoon, so it might be better. But the Pace Court fire is 318 acres now, 50% contained. The latest update on that was at 1 o'clock. So that's the deal here. Um, hey Susan Brooks, checking in from Delray Beach. Good to see you as always. Thank you for I appreciate the kind words. Thank you again. I truly appreciate it. And it means a lot that you're coming here for the weather and news information. So and then on the fire in south of Palm Bay today, it appears now it is 100 acres, 80% contained. The last update on that was at 6:15. So or 6:25. So that was 3 hours ago, so hopefully even better, more improvements throughout the course of the day. So one last thing before we kind of get ready for the 11, we're going on at 11:30 tonight. So if I have anybody staying up late tonight where the Grammys are on, so that's one of the other reasons why we're doing this too. Wanted to just make sure you guys were getting the best information to prepare for Cold Blast round 2 um tonight. And then we're going to gradually, it's going to be cold on Wednesday morning as well, but not as cold. We're gradually going to pull out of this. So tomorrow morning, we're back to the lower 20s northwest of I 4, mid 20s closer to I 4, and getting back towards the lower 30s along the Space Coast. So this is still kind of danger zone area for pipes and power. So that's why, again, if you're just joining us, you may have gotten text messages or emails from your power company asking you to conserve the power. Um, and this would be the reason why, because now we're going to have more energy use getting into tomorrow. So, in terms of where we're dropping today, this is kind of the comparison. So, we're cooling off just a touch faster in Wildwood. We're actually a degree warmer tonight in Orlando. We're a degree colder in Kissimmee, 2 degrees colder in Daytona Beach. And right where we were last night in New Smyrna Beach. Asking for the feels like temperature. So that little itty bitty number that you see is going to be the feels like temperature. So actual air temperature in Orlando is 36. The wind, it's still breezy out there and it still hurts whenever you're out there, but 30 degrees is the wind chill. It feels like 28 in Sanford, 31 New Smyrna. And again, why this is important, it does crank up the frostbite timing by a lot because the wind pushes your body heat away. And that's the main reason why we have the wind chill. The wind chill does not affect your pipes or your plants. That's all about the air, the actual air temperature. So that's why there's a difference. And it's important to know that on these cold nights. Yeah, hopefully all the buses are on time tomorrow because it is chilly out there. It's cold. It is cold for sure. All right, any questions? If you're watching on News 6 Plus, we can also dial this up on YouTube and you can post in the chat. We have a nice chat going on tonight. Thank you to the 152 people that are watching. If you're finding this live stream helpful, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We're here actually every Monday through Friday. I know we started at 9 tonight. I wanted to give you an earlier update because we're in a weather situation and we're in a weather alert situation here. So we wanted to give you some information. So that's why we're on with you guys, kind of getting you through this blast of colder air. I have a show every night, 9:30. We talk about the weather. So we really highlighted this blast about 10 days ago. And we kind of followed up on the forecast all the way through. So we have a fun time doing it. That is correct, Disney Therapy. The feels like temperatures do not affect your home. Um, they only affect people. So in pets, it's called an apparent temperature. So any living thing, I know plants are living, but it does not affect them. So think of the wind chill and the heat index are only going to impact people, things that have body heat. So, um, pets, humans, things like that. So that little number is going to affect how we feel. And then the 36, the 33 in Claremont, the 33 in Leesburg, that is what affects your house and your pipes and your plants. And that's what would issue the freeze warning. So when you see those freeze warnings come out, that is for the actual air temperature, that is going to get below freezing and affect those inanimate objects that depend on temperatures being above freezing. Your plants included in that. So important to note. But yeah, we normally don't talk about this. Yoan's asking a great question here. Does the cold affect us during the hurricane season? Like, if we get a really bad winter, will we have less hurricanes? There's certainly a correlation in terms of cyclone energy. So it's more about like if we have these big storms kind of eating up the energy budget. Um, so that's one of the things that now, as we get towards the end of winter, we're naturally going to start looking toward. And we just had a big snowstorm go across the country, and we just had another one kind of really explode off the East Coast. Because the goal of a low pressure system is to keep things balanced. It's to send the warmth north, and they're designed to send the cold south to just try to keep the Earth as equal as possible. So yeah, having these major winter storms like this can certainly have an impact on if we have cyclones, and it's vice versa. One of the things when we put winter forecasts together, especially for the areas that see those nor'easters and things like that, we look at how bad the hurricane season was. So did we have a lot of energy produced by the hurricane season? And if there wasn't, we might have an opportunity for some really big blow up storms, kind of like what we're seeing right here. Um, Here is the drought monitor, and this has kind of gone by the wayside a little bit as we've been talking about um, the cold. It's kind of stolen the show from. Okay, so it looks like just Summer Lake Elementary School was closed on Monday as the district recovers from extreme cold. So we just have one. So the other one was able to open. So that's Summer Lake and Dillard Street. So just Summer Lake is closed. Summer Lake and Dillard Street were both in question. However, it's just Summer Lake that is now going to be closed. So that's an update there. 16 Medic RN, good to see you. The wind was ridiculous last night. Lost a few branches, about the same as hurricanes in Apopka. I mean, yeah. I mean, certainly this cold blast was way more impactful than our hurricane season. I mean, thankfully, but there were a lot of people that lost power out of this. There were a lot of people that had broken pipes, burst pipes, and didn't have water this morning because the lines were frozen. But this is the drought monitor. I was asked to pull this up. We now have an extreme drought in parts of Marion County that include the villages in northern Sumter, Northern Lake. We still abnormally dry in Kissimmee and the Southern Lake, Southern Polk, or Northern Polk, I should say. But then we do have moderate drought where we had the brush fire today. So we do need some rain. The other question is, are we ever going to get above normal? And the answer to that is, I don't think for quite some time. I really don't think for quite some time. We're going to have another cold front come in at the end of this week. It's not going to be as extreme. So it's not going to be like this, but it is going to chill us back down. So what we're going to look at here, since I have it already queued up, let me make sure all the data All the data is in, and let's get this bad boy. Let's take this to Monday, and let's go out to next Sunday. Talking to myself, and I'm going to take it back to the morning run so it goes out a little bit longer. So this is where we currently stand in this deep dark purple, about 30 degrees below normal. And then let's take this out. Okay, all right, by Wednesday and Thursday, we're just a couple of notches below normal. That's going to get us back to the 70s. So Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to thaw out just a little bit. And oh man, all right, just got triggered. Nomadic biking adventures. He says he's waiting for the official call by the groundhog tomorrow. I know, I'm looking forward to it too. It's a fun day. It's a fun day. I love it. I love it. It's a fantastic holiday. That is tomorrow, by the way. So we'll see if the official word, if there are 6 more weeks of winter, or if spring is going to show up early. I think a lot of people might want spring to come early after this round of cold. Okay, so here's Thursday through February 5th, and look at the purple coming back. There's that secondary push of cold as we get into Friday, into the upcoming weekend. Where we do have temperatures moderating a little bit is out west into the upper Midwest. Let me see if I can get this to go out a little bit further. We finally have some warmth pushing east. We are still below normal on February 10th, but it looks like maybe the first couple of days getting into the second week of February, we're going to start to warm things up a little bit. I was heartbroken to wake up to see dozens of people losing water, even though their faucets dripped. All of them were leaks from the main faucet outside the house, spawning water everywhere. So that was the critical thing too. Not only do you need to, and it also has to be a little more than a drip. So you have to have a steady stream at pencil length. That's like about the width of this pen. So as I have to go start to get ready for the show coming up after the Grammys, again, we're gonna be on at about 11:30, maybe a little bit later because of the Grammys. And if the acceptance speeches go long as they normally do, we might be going on a little bit later than that. But we're going to be here for you. So again, if you're watching the end of the Grammys, you're going to catch us on. We're going to get you through it on News 6. Again, if you're watching from the greater Central Florida area. Couple of things before we wrap this up, as we have 181 people watching on YouTube and certainly on the News 6 app and on News 6 Plus. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the trust that you put in us to give you not only your weather forecast, but the information that I'm about to give you. If you had issues with your pipes last night, and even if you didn't have issues with the pipes, you could see issues tomorrow. So what I want everybody to do tonight, to better be safe than sorry, is if you have the water coming back in to your house from outside, like if your water shutoff valve is outside, make sure it is wrapped up good. Get some blankets, get some towels around it. Get some blankets, get some towels, wrap it up nice, protect it from the elements. If you have hoses or the spigots outside, disconnect hoses from them, and then also wrap it up real good. I use the sweatshirt to just kind of wrap it around, and I have the water line going into the house. I have that wrapped up too. The other thing is, couple of sinks. You don't need to do all of them. Let them run. Get them in a nice steady stream, pencil length. If you have water moving through your lines, it is going to be harder for them to freeze moving water. So that's another thing that helps. And then also, if you open your cabinet doors, like I have my kitchen cabinets opened, I have my bathroom cabinets opened, with the house temperature at 68 degrees, somewhere in the mid to upper 60s, you don't want it falling below that because the interior walls, again, it's going to be colder on that side, to let some of that warmth get in under your cabinets. And then you should be good for the most part. Whatever you did last night, do it again. And if you didn't do anything last night, I would still recommend doing it because we're going to be in the same ballpark again. And we're getting off to we already had that cold weather there. Of course, we thawed out kind of, but we got above freezing, of course. We had the sunshine today as expected. But now we have that fall again back into the 20s. So even if you didn't do it and you didn't freeze, we're going to be in the same ballpark again. There's no telling on if it's going to freeze again, or if it's going to freeze if it didn't freeze last night, even though we're going to be a degree or two or maybe 3 degrees warmer. But everybody still gets below freezing for about, I mean, at least 6 hours. And that's kind of the magic point that a lot of plumbers say that you can start to have issues. And then for us in northwest of I-4, it's going to be more like 10 hours again. So long story short, if you took precautions last night and it worked, you should be good to go. If you didn't take precautions and you didn't have any issues, I would still work to take those precautions tonight just to be safe. Just because, yeah. And I mean, again, the other thing, I just laughed at the one of the Grammys comment. Well, businesses do remote work because of the power issues. I wish I could answer that, but this is kind of the thing. We didn't have many power issues today, at least. To my knowledge anyway, I don't think the grids were shutting down or they were voluntarily taking stuff up, um, and all that stuff. I mean, if everything was fine last night, I don't want to say you're going to be okay. I use the sweatshirt around mine. I mean, just to be safe, rather be safe than sorry. If you were okay, you should be fine. You might have better insulation than some of my neighbors. Some of my neighbors in Apopka woke up and did not have water today, um, because they didn't take any precaution. Thankfully, or the outside water line thing. My shutoff valve for to the house. I don't know if they're all like this in Florida, but my water shutoff valve is outside. So, like, that's where the main line is coming in from, and it sticks up above the ground. It is insulated. It does have stuff around it, but I put a sweatshirt around it. It looks like there's a person hanging off the side of my house 'cause I literally put a hoodie and covered it up like that so we can get some of the warmth from the ground to kind of get up into there. There's a really cool video. Let me see if I can share it real quick in the chat. I'm gonna try to get the link. Somebody sent us video of them taking a heat gun or a thermal gun around their property to show what the temperature of everything was. And it was really cool to see like what the precautions actually do. So I just put that link. I'm going to pin that link in the chat. I just put that in there if you want to check that out. It is really cool. Because you can see the water actually warmer than the surrounding house because it's running through. So it's pretty wild. Alrighty, guys. I want to thank you a ton for tuning in. We are going to be on after the Grammys. Of course, if you have any other questions, I'm on Facebook, Jonathan Kegges News 6. Hit me up. I'm going to be active. I'm going to be watching this. I'm going to look at the latest model data that's coming in because the temperature might be a touch colder. Might be like 27, 28 in Orlando. That's about 2 degrees warmer than where it was today, regardless. Another cold night. Again, I always urge on, okay, better be safe than sorry. So even if you didn't have problems, I would still take the precautions just because the problems with the plumbing were so widespread this morning. It was crazy. It was crazy the amount of I had somebody put on my Facebook page today that he is a plumber and like the calls they received. I have a friend whose husband is a firefighter and they said that they were responding to calls about flooded houses because of broken pipes all since 7:30 this morning. So that is what I want everybody to avoid. The cost, I mean, if you've followed me on Facebook, you know I hate turning on the heat in the house. I'd rather sit there and suffer with a hat on and gloves and everything like that. However, yeah, I had to turn it on and I had to get it up to the mid to upper 60s because I needed to protect the house. So it's not about me anymore. It's about the house. So that's just the advice that I like to pass along to you. And that's what we've been talking about really since late last, well, I guess it's a new week now. So for the last 8 to 10 days, we knew this blast was coming, and that was the advice that we were passing along. So that's what I recommend. Make sure you protect the pipes. Make sure you let them drip tonight. Or again, steady stream. I keep on showing this pencil length stream, not just like a drip. Pencil length stream coming out of at least two of your um faucets inside. Cabinet doors open. Let some of that warmth get in there. Also, again, if you have the new 6 app, um, no, I just don't like, I'm not that cheap. I just don't like turning on the heat. We have a fireplace. We're lucky enough to have a fireplace at the house, so we like to use that, obviously only on weekends because um, I have to monitor it. But I normally only let it get down to 62. Once it gets down into the 50s, the heat comes on. But now we had to get it up to I can live at 62. So another kind of thing just want to pass along. If you have the new 6 app, you just got this. Mechanical failure at Maitland water plant caused potable water pressure to briefly fall below minimum safety standards Sunday. So officials there. Oh, I got some wood. I was burning it all day today. It was awesome. I got some. Yeah. And once I was starting to forecast this, I got some of the firewood. It was great. Burned it before all day today before I came into work. So there's a boil. Let me see. Let me see what this boil water advisory it's for Maitland. So it's for the city of Maitland. Um, it does not apply though to Maitland residents who receive service from Castleberry, Winter Park, or Orange County utilities. So if anybody tuning in from Maitland, and if you have the new 6 app, then you already know you just got this push alert. Um, boil water advisory for the city of Maitland due to the fact that water pressure dropped below safe standards for a short amount of time. The affected plant did return to normal operations. However, they still are urging that for right now. Since the boil water notice will remain in effect until drinking water samples pass testing for 2 consecutive days, as required by the Florida Code, according to the news release that they sent us. No, not getting a cold. I think I've just been talking a lot over the past 2 days, and it is. I'm just a little congested. The cold probably doing it, but I hope not getting sick. Um, so under the boil water notice, you're advised to boil water used for drinking, cooking, making ice, brushing teeth, washing dishes. A rolling boil of 1 minute is considered sufficient. Bottled water may also be used as an alternative. So again, that's kind of breaking news here for the city of Maitland. Unless your water in Maitland is serviced by Castleberry, Winter Park, or Orange County utilities. Everybody else boil the water in Maitland. And that's not the first boil water notice today. So again, these are these ramifications that have really popped up today. And it's certainly been on a widespread scale. So again, anything you can do to protect the pipes, just a simple wrap is going to help. Towel, hoodie, blanket on the exterior line coming in, and then let the water run pencil width in at least 2 faucets, and then open up those cabinets to let some of the warmth generated by your heating unit to get in there, and that will help. Not saying it's a guarantee, but it will help doing that. Alrighty, guys. Thank you a ton for tuning in. I've got to save my voice for the news tonight. We've been hanging out together for 45 minutes, and my voice is shot. Got to get some drops and some honey and all that stuff. Thank you guys a ton for tuning in. Seriously, it means a lot that you are here and that you are trusting New 6. We appreciate it a lot. I hope that you found our coverage trustworthy and not alarmist because, again, we saw all the issues today and we were really talking about just the cold coming through. So I hope you enjoyed the coverage. I wish I was talking about it being warmer, but please tune in tonight at 11:30-ish, whenever the Grammys end. We'll be on for the latest. We're going to have the latest forecast, the latest impacts, and the latest on a warm-up, for sure. 16 Medic RN, win what? Sorry, I don't know what you are asking on YouTube. I'm not sure what part of that, so sorry about that. Oh, gotcha. I see. I got you now. Cool. Alrighty, guys. I really appreciate you again. I do that Midwestern long goodbye. Stay warm out there. Be safe. We'll catch you tonight after the Grammys. And of course, we're here. If you need anything, hit me up. We're watching the forecast. We're watching this. We are with you guys. As always, thank you again for tuning in. I will catch you tonight. Tomorrow I'm back at it 9:30 right in this chair on News 6 Plus, on the News 6 YouTube page, and of course on clickorlando.com. Stay safe. Be warm. I'll catch you soon.